What? Where's the intro?
I'm getting it. I know. I just scroll down to it.
All right. Okay. It's a step forward.
Hello, guys. This is another episode in our podcast. Yeah, I know, dude. My name is. Yeah, this is the live show for the Not Podcast. Today we're going to be kind of discussing a non-spoiler, making it upfront for anybody that's tuning in. We're talking about Spider-Man No Way Home Awards. This is a non-spoiler discussion, more so our thoughts on how much we enjoyed it. We're not getting any top points, not making any reveals, nothing like that. Just a general discussion. We have our special guest, Mr. Amazing Spider-Man.
He left. He's gone. He left.
Oh no!
He came back. All right.
My bad.
I was like, yeah, I guess you really don't like that anymore.
Amazing Spider came here. My bad. Amazing Spider came here. AK, Mr. AK. Border Crew, everything. Border Cartel, everything. I'm not gonna spoil it for the people crying. I just wanted to say, somebody posted something in my shit posting group with a picture of the movie, and it got reported for terrorism 5 times. But I kept it because
terrorism.
What? 5
terrorism.
Wow.
I was like, why y'all keep reporting this? It's like, relax. It's not even that bad.
Jeez, 5 times. Good.
Terrorism. I had no idea to see that post.
Terrorism. It wasn't that bad. Come on now.
I seen that post. It wasn't that bad, but like, I'm an expert at avoiding spoilers. I know to stay away from any groups, any online. If I'm trying to like go see a movie, I know how to stay away from shit. That's part of it.
Typically.
Part 2 is like, it just came out like a day or 2 ago, so I get the anger. I'm like, niggas gotta make time to go see it or whatever. I don't know. It is what it is.
Well, people were posting because they had the early reviews and stuff. Like I guess like on Monday when they started showing the movie, and people, like critics and stuff, were posting like images from it, and like saying, "Here's a review of the movie," and they have an image from it where it showed stuff. It's like, what are y'all doing? People, regular civilians, haven't seen this movie. Why are y'all posting these images up there? That's on y'all.
Because they want to get as much clickbait as they can.
They want to get clickbait as much as they can. Speaking of clickbait, hard smash cut, real quick. 100 subs. Thank you, all of you, very much. We are so happy. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Appreciate y'all. That was a big milestone for us. What's your guys' grace period for when the movie comes out before you like talk about the spoilers on it? What's your grace period?
The next day.
Damn.
That was ruthless.
I remember.
I
remember when Infinity War came out, and I slipped out and said something about Spider-Man getting dusted away, and then I got like death threats after that. People were like smash blocking me. I was like, it wasn't even that bad, and then I just spoiled the whole movie after that, and I didn't really care. And just like, y'all gotta chill out. Because when Game of Thrones gets spoiled, nobody cares. It's like, oh, this will happen in Game of Thrones tonight. I was like, well, I didn't get to home to see it. And there's no death threats from this person's life, but this movie came out. I don't know. It makes no sense.
I think there's different levels of like, A, what the spoilers are, and then also B, how important the content is that you're spoiling. So if it's like a single episode of like Game of Thrones, like an episode 2 or 3 from season 4, but it doesn't really matter as much, not as impactful, not as big a deal. But if it's the poster boy for a Marvel universe getting dusted in a movie, it's like that's a bigger thing.
Yeah, I remember we talking about spoilers. Watching season 8 of Game of Thrones, somebody posted "Rest in peace" to a character during the episode that they died, like before the episode is over.
Bruh.
Hey Joy, how you doing? How Joy Napoleon? You know, we gonna talk.
Yeah. Wait, was Joy the one that did that?
Oh yeah, that was Joy.
Oh, Joy.
Oh god.
Shade, throwing the shade with a fast soft pitch. Okay. But again, we are not doing spoilers for this.
I give it a week. Yeah, no spoilers.
Maybe a week.
I give it a week because I think by the time a week happens, you can plan out babysitters. You got kids. You can plan out 2 hours to go see this movie in a week. You got a whole week's time. So I give you that. After a week, I'm like, bro, I'm gonna talk about this movie. It's been a week now. You had all this in the world. If you really wanted to go see this movie, you would have seen it within a week of it coming out.
Exactly.
Yeah, but there are still folks that can't. There are folks that have their jobs or the theaters do crowded. I think ultimately, you probably there's some people who get mad if you do spoilers for movies that have passed like years in the past. So I don't know if there is a safe grace period.
All right. One thing, if we talking about spoilers on this movie particularly, like, is that one thing that everybody already knew that was coming? Is that a spoiler anymore? Like, is that the thing that we can't talk about?
I mean, you can. I want to say
he was in the movie
because they denied it hard. They did deny it.
Wait, careful. Let's. We're tiptoeing so close. Because Cam just. I heard what Cam just how he just worded it. It's like I don't think y'all.
I don't know what the talk is.
Yeah, that's the thing.
He was in the movie.
See, that's what I'm saying. You can't say he. It's saying he in the singular is Hobbit is having issues. So let's just say this.
Oh, okay. See, this ambiguous gender was in this motion cinema.
That's okay. Again. That's
all right. Let's get into the topic point. Let's get into the big topic. The first talking points we'll get into. Is this movie to you guys the best MCU movie to this day? Because it's already getting those critically acclaimed reviews.
Best MCU movie? No.
MCU? No. That's a hard pass. Hard pass. No.
It is the Spider-Man movie. It's the best Spider-Man movie, no question.
No. It's not the best Spider-Man movie. It's Spider-Verse. Into the Spider-Verse is still the best Spider-Man movie. Period.
Here we go.
Here we go. Into the Spider-Verse will always be the best Spider-Man movie.
Here we go.
Which one was it?
Honestly, this one.
I guess. Yeah, honestly.
This one.
Yeah.
The thing is, if you weight. Well, also it has fewer plot holes. There are some really weird, dumb decisions. It's not a spoiler, but there's some dumb decisions that characters make. You're like, wait a minute. And there's some plot holes. I talked about it with my friend and my brother and my cousin about it at great length. And they're pretty much like us as far as really into this stuff and their blurs and everything. And we're like, yeah, there's some gaping holes. And I actually really enjoyed this movie, but Into the Spider-Verse is fun and enjoyable, but doesn't really have as many complicated holes and as many characters themselves doing uncharacteristic things. So,
see, I don't. Even though I guess this is an unpopular opinion. I don't stress too hard about plot holes when it comes to comic book movies. There's a source material plot hole all over it. It's just I'm like, it's like an original side, something that wasn't. Go ahead.
But if you're trying to say which is a better movie, like plot holes exist, like they're there,
and they can bring down the quality of the movie, and not overall. I know subjectively no, but what I'm saying is, if you have two things, if you have a movie where the screenplay is written tighter and doesn't have those gaping holes, and one is written looser and does, and has characters doing things that are weird and don't make sense. If you compare those two, then it's like, well, based off those merits, I would say the one that doesn't have those flaws is objectively better.
To retort what Ethan's saying, I seen some things that didn't make sense in the movie. To me, that's why I gave it a 9. But if we talking Into the Spider-Verse, it's a standalone movie, so you can just do whatever you want. There's no plot.
Right.
It's just like, all right, we're just gonna put this, that, and the third. The MCU movies had to follow a certain skeleton from the previous ones. Like you had to recognize that this movie was right after Far From Home. Just like there's no time barrier, there's no breaks, no nothing like that. So you got to take all that and combine it into this movie. And then Far From Home was what 2 months ago from no, it was 8 months after Endgame.
Is that Mike?
And then
but
there's more freedom in that.
That's fair. That's a fair fact. I'll say one real quick thing. I'm not even disagreeing with Cam at all. It's just the idea that I actually really enjoyed this movie. I really, really did. I think it's the best John Watts Spider-Man movie by far. Yes. But there's a thing that happens where a character that should know better does something they shouldn't do. Otis East is one of the smartest guys I know, period. If I said to Otis East, hey, Otis, let me borrow your PS5 to use it to kill this spider just by smashing it. And if he's like, okay, you would say, what the hell? Because for Otis to do something that dumb, is like, wait a minute. That's that's what I mean by a character doing something that just is like, wait a minute, So.
True.
The whole
question,
second act of the movie.
I mean, we can. I mean, again, that's why I'm talking about that. Those things. Maybe a plot hole isn't the right word for that in particular. I know Cam's saying as far as they are bound to the world they're in, which is true.
I have a retort to that also because I'm trying to okay. Let me say it without saying it. So
yeah.
In Civil War, he was just pretty much a pawn. So he was a naive kid, just a pawn that didn't really have control, a mastery of his powers and abilities, and then Iron Man kind of takes advantage of that. So he has that and still has Happy and all that other stuff to look after him. So in Homecoming, it's the same thing. It's pretty much Spider-Man featuring Iron Man. So that kind of took points away from the movie because it's mostly, and Robert Downey Jr. got paid the most.
He got paid more than the actual star in the movie.
Right, but it was still he's getting supervised in that movie. And then in Far From Home, I don't know why Nick Fury was in it, but whatever. He mostly got mentored in that movie, and then even Mysterio was kind of mentoring him how to be a superhero, even though that was part of the ploy, the plot, and all the other stuff. This one, he's actually, for the most part, by himself and making his own decisions. So, and he's still, 15, 16? So he doesn't, he didn't get the speech. There's no Uncle Ben. He didn't get the speech. And then this is the first time he's actually like by himself until the third act. So, I mean, I give him some leeway for the decisions he's making.
So here's another thing. No, I'm sorry, Dad. Real quick. One of the character I'm referring to making some dumb decisions isn't even Spider-Man. It's another person. I'm like, wait, what are you doing, guy? So there.
We'll say that between the lines. We got to say that.
We'll say that for spoiler. But I feel bad saying because people were like, "What are they?" I know we're talking in fragments. We have dementia and Tourette's, but we're trying to be as gracious and not spoil things for people as possible.
To get a focused discussion. My question for you guys would be, because obviously there are going to be two things that people are going to bring up with this movie, being the potholes not being the best structured movie versus the fun factor. You guys are watching a movie. Let's say you're creating a movie, and you have to choose. There are some movies where you can have both, but it's very difficult, very rare. A movie where you have the most fun, where you would have a movie where you have like the most fun watching this film, or a film that's just written perfectly, to where there's no plot points, everything makes sense, but it's not as fun as obviously the more fun movie. Because again, you're going to the movie theaters for a fun experience at the end of the day. If your movie is conveying an emotion and you had a good time watching this movie, did it do its job? Is my thing. So what would you prefer out of that?
So it's Dark Knight versus Civil War. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, right. Basically.
Well,
because we know Dark Knight is the better written movie, but Civil War is the more watchable movie. Like, I'm not gonna sit and let's have a fun night watching Dark. It's not gonna happen. Not gonna happen.
Right. Yeah. And I agree with both Cam and what you were saying, and I see what you're saying too, Deb. But I would say the fun factor really does carry a lot of weight. Of course, it does. And I will rewatch Spider-Man: No Way Home a lot more. I'm looking forward to going to the theater to see it again because it was that fun factor. That third act, even the earlier acts, to be honest. There's a part where it's in the trailer where Doctor Strange and Spider-Man throw down. I was like, this is fantastic. There's a part later on in the third act where it's like, let's go but bananas, Super Smash Bros. Melee. I was like, yes. So the fun factor was definitely up there. And the plot holes and all that kind of stuff doesn't really bother me. It's just stuff that I'm like, and also you know I'm a writer too, so it's like, these are things that probably could have been addressed. So I think the fun factor does carry a lot of weight. Also, if the movie is more fun, so much fun that the cons don't bring it down, I'm on board for that too. I am.
Bottom line,
I try my best when I'm watching. Go ahead. That's my bad.
I was just saying, like, the more fun movie I'm going to watch more, the more concise movie I'm going to score higher.
Yes, that's
All right.
Nose touch.
Because I try when I'm watching these movies. So go ahead, Graham. My bad.
No, it was kind of a different question. I was going to ask, do you score a movie higher because it was beyond your what you thought it was going to be.
Okay.
So you just score higher off a handicap. Like nobody thought Winter Soldier was going to be what it was.
Right. Right.
And now it's arguably like top 3, top 5, but it is scored on a handicap because it excelled expectations of being just like sort of like it was kind of like a Bond movie at some points of it, but
it's what it was, a spy movie. I see. I don't think I did say it on a handicap because I think that does happen if you go into any movie or show, book, whatever it is, with very high expectations. That bar is so high that it's that much more likely to fail, to stumble. If you go into something with very low expectations, it's very easy for it to exceed it. And because you're so surprised, you're like, wow, that was pretty good. You'll actually be that much more likely to score it higher. It's natural. It's human nature.
Like Thor Ragnarok.
Right. I went in there expecting up here, and it gave me, we're not going to do it again.
No, we literally did it twice. We have 2 videos. We have 2 videos.
I'm gassed on that. I got all my bullets on that thing in that review. I have no more questions. But to answer Cam's question, I think so. Even when people say they don't do it, they do it. Like when something defies expectations, you tend to look at it in a more positive light versus something that's hyped up. I still to transition to kind of play off that question. Did this movie hype you guys felt was built up for it? For like literally last like 3 years damn near.
Yeah, didn't meet the expectations.
It surpassed my expectations, honestly. I honestly thought this was going to be mid because I kind of expect everything to be mid at this point, and it was good. I can easily say, in my opinion, that this is the best Spider-Man movie that I've seen.
Right.
But I mean, I was like, it's like going to like the Dragon Ball Z movies, like that new Broly movie is the best DBZ movie I've seen. But that is that categorized as like a really good movie all around? That, you know what I'm saying? Like this is good for that, but it's not. Yeah. That's my opinion on it.
Right. In this genre of film, or they in the world of film, is this a good film, or is it specifically categorized in Spider-Man movies? Which one are you? What metric are you using?
Gotta use Spider-Man movies. Well, I guess it's more of like you keep breaking down to the metric of comic book movie. Did it succeed in being a good comic book movie? Did it succeed in being a good Spider-Man movie?
No spoilers. No spoilers.
No spoilers, CT.
Yeah. Then did it succeed in being a good MCU movie? So it's kind of like did it hit all the check marks? I think it did hit all the check marks. It just like hit everybody's expectations. Couple things you weren't expecting in there. Couple things that's pretty obvious, but
early on.
I think some of the things they did tackle really well was the dialogue. So
absolutely,
I do too. I agree.
That's one of the best qualities of the movie was the dialogue and the banter and things like that. So they at least hit that part. Some things it was a miss, but I think the script as a whole was good. Like right.
I do agree. I agree. Yeah. So and that's one thing that both y'all brought up. There's a lot of good points. Let's capitalize on what Cam said real quick. I do think that script probably is maybe the strongest script written. Although I really love Into the Spider-Verse, it's kind of playing to a younger audience in lots of ways too. This script actually had, I'm not going to get into any spoilers, I promise, but some of the emotional beats in this script hit hard. The person I saw with my boy Sequoia, he's 6'4", 285. He's a biggin. Big and blurred, right? And he was like, there's a part that happens where it got him. I mean, the feels hit him pretty hard. There's a couple parts that the feels hit really hard. To do that, and for it not to be like cheesy or overdone, or that takes some deft hand at writing these things. So I do agree that the dialogue is the best, probably in all the Spider-Man movies. Some of the top tier writing in all the MCU, Sony movies. So I agree. Objectively, regardless of the genre of comic book movies or movies in general, the writing was solid. So.
Absolutely.
I did have this question, but Charlie, go ahead.
No, just to finish it up, I said I did want to give some shine to the acting in this movie. I feel like the actors had amazing performances, damn near all the way through. I came about it that didn't really pull their own weight on it, and it was a great accompaniment to the script. And in this fan emotion. Like that nigga, my boy Jeffrey, that nigga was tearing up. It was a particular scene, and I'm pretty sure y'all know what it was, where I hear, I look, I'm like, are you crying? He's like, no, I ain't crying. I'm like, right, this thing's crying. But yeah, I will highlight the acting. The acting was pretty solid for a lot of the characters.
Yeah, no, it was great. And I think another thing too is that I'm sorry.
No, I was giving it to Cam, but go ahead to your point.
Yeah, go ahead, Cam. You go ahead, Cam.
Oh, I was just going to ask, was this Tom Holland's Spider-Man's biggest test?
Yes.
No.
You say no.
I'll see that in the next.
You say no.
No, I don't think this is his biggest test.
No.
I mean
the trilogy.
You mean so far? You mean so far, right?
Like,
so far, yeah.
I disagree. I feel like the biggest threat was him within himself. Like that was the biggest moment of tension was at the very end when he had to decide to do or not do something. You know, you guys know what I'm talking about.
Yes, that's what I thought was the biggest test.
And like, I mean, I guess that's a huge test, but like considering it to everything that he's been through in the MCU before that, it's like this was like, yeah, it's light work. It's like it's easy day.
So what would you say was a harder? What would you say, aside from obviously the one in No Way Home, what would you say was a harder moment of truth that he faced earlier in the MCU?
He had to fight Thanos.
But I feel like we all know. I mean, we can't say it, but obviously, what happens, the choices he has to make in this movie, because it kind of comes almost down to two big ones. It's like I feel like that's a real moment of truth. Like Cam said, a test. If you're saying a test of strength or a test of courage, that's one class, one thing. But a moment of truth, as far as deciding something real and adult and mature.
Go ahead, Dark Sage.
Yeah, you feel free, Dark Sage. I do feel like that this moment of truth in this movie was his hardest test. He may have ones bigger later on.
Internally, yes. Like, you know, this is the biggest hurdle he's had to climb.
Oh my God, I can't freaking say it. Externally, it might be because you know who's giving him the beat.
It's him, bro. Like,
yeah.
Right. My thing is like with the Thanos thing, he had literally a coordination event from like him and every other hero on the planet.
It was tough. It was a hit squad. It was a hit squad.
His battle. Yeah, he was there, and it was tough. I think all of them collectively, but this was like him. He had assistance and everything, but for majority of the movie, it was him.
Right. Also, think of it this way too. We're not attacking you, Lotus, but it's just the idea that look at his own emotional state in the Infinity War, how he was dealing with the pressure of fighting Thanos, or even losing to Thanos, compared to his emotional state, psychological state, dealing with what he dealt with in this movie. It's like that's what a real test is. How that affects you, how it alters you, how it changes you after the fact. So I think personally that the test he faced in this movie was more.
Goddamn,
I guess well, if we go through a solo test, he had the Vulture, and the Vulture realized his identity. He was the first villain to realize he was Spider-Man.
Right.
So, and he had to deal with the choices normal Spider-Man movies do have. It's just like, oh, how do I stop this person that is related to the person I'm a friend to? The Harry Osborn situations, multiple Harry Osborn situations, but they did it with MJ in this one, and he had to deal with that, and also dealing with Mysterio, who he thought of as like a little mentor, sort of, and how to be a superhero and deal with your superhero life and a civilian life and get praised for it, because Mysterio was getting praised. That was the plot for he was getting praised, and Jameson liked him because he demasked, and all villains. If you're a hero that wears a mask, you're a villain. So we all know what JJ stands for. But he was ready to kill him. He's ready to pop a cap in him. So I mean,
basically,
this one I guess more psychological, if anything.
Yeah. To get into Dark Sage's point, I am not mad at you for not liking it at all. But all you the big thing I hear is Tony Stark that being too close to them. it makes sense for this trilogy. Like this trilogy to me is meant for him to get his feet wet and be introduced into the hero thing. Because again, the nigga's 15 when he's the next trilogy. Because there's another trilogy confirmed where it's just him now. There's no because at this point he has no more.
Well, easy, Charlie.
No, like in the next thing going forward, like there's no more assistance from any of the other stuff going forward. Because this is like him in the Sony versus him tagging with Venom. So he's not most likely he's not going to be in the 616 universe. Like they announced that being
we're really not going to see him.
He's going to have Venom. Yeah, so like this is going to be just him going forward. At this point, he's gone through all the trials and tribulations from the first movie. He's had all his mentors, all his experience built up. Now it's him with all this experience, with his powers, with villains, mentors going forward. Now he starts journey now. I feel like that now. Most other Spider-Man stuff we see outside of like the Raimi stuff, he's like outside of the first movie, he's kind of like the animated stuff we see. That's just his truest test will be going forward when it's just like him going against whatever threat is going to be.
I see. Can you put up Darksage's last comment again? Oh, I didn't read all he said.
I didn't. With the Darkseid saying he was too close to Iron Man, I mean, I don't know what you wanted. At that point, he needed a mentor. He tried out to be like an Avenger and Fantastic Four. His first issue was going to the Bastard Billions. It's like, hey guys, I want to be on your team. It's like, no.
Yeah.
Yes. He tried to be an Avenger, and he's like, well, if you go capture the Hulk, we'll let you be an Avenger. Like he gravitates towards people in the comic books, but he always gets the back end. And then one of the more reasons he is a fan favorite because he's mostly dealing with things by himself. So
it's solo act. Yeah. And that's kind of what I wanted to see. Yeah, I mean, he does grow up in the comics too, but he is at one point he's 15. I think he originally in the comics he like got bit in high school, but didn't become Spider-Man to like college or something like that. But I see what Darkseid is saying in some sense, but I do think that there are some things in this movie that make it feel the most like Spider-Man. Like there are times when he's by himself, having to deal with things by himself. In this movie in particular, and that's very trademark Spider-Man as far as like lots of bittersweet things, and that's Spider-Man. Iron Man isn't known for dealing with things bittersweet. Iron Man isn't known with dealing with challenges that he can't overcome, either with his tech or his money or his wit. So that's why I still see this as a Spider-Man film. However, to each his own. Darkseid didn't feel that way.
Also, there's no Uncle Ben in this movie. We gotta remember that there's no Uncle Ben in this trilogy, so he has nobody to have that Uncle Ben moment with. Even though he died off, but he still needs that person. And Aunt May's like 40 years old. So
yeah, she's younger than me.
40 years old. 40 years old and bad.
So I mean, it makes sense. Iron Man is his Obi-Wan, if anything.
Yeah, you always need guidance going into it. He's had it in the comics even now. But another question I want to have, this is my last point on the movie before we transition to other stuff. With the nostalgia, we'll get into nostalgia because obviously that's nostalgia is going to be a thing for this film. With the film, the appearances we have confirmed in the trailers from Electro to Doc Ock to the Lizard, do these characters? I don't know if you guys. I know you guys, like most people, didn't really like the Andrew Garfield stuff, but for the Raimi villains like Doc Ock, how much? I know, maybe not Otis. I know Otis said he's not a fan of nostalgia, but for you two, how hard did nostalgia hit you when you saw the performances, and saw them come back, and saw those interactions?
You go first, Kay?
Sure. For each villain, for the Garfield ones, I mean, Jamie Foxx, not a Blue Man Group. Jamie Foxx, sure, he was better in this one than he was in the last one. It kind of, I didn't like how he was portrayed in the Amazing Spider-Man 2. It was kind of weird, but and the Lizard was the Lizard. I didn't get any nostalgia feels for him. Doc Ock definitely. I mean, it looked like it just came off from Spider-Man 2. So I mean, it all of it looked good. The acting was very nostalgic, and it's hard not to give away stuff that did happen. But I guess for that character, the nostalgia was there, and then the other guy, of course, blew me away. So
got the trailers like Norman Osborn. He was in the trailer, so we know the people know he's confirmed. That's
yeah.
Right.
I'll say Norman Osborn's Green Goblin. He's up there with Heath Ledger. Honestly, you just
with Heath Ledger,
he killed it. He killed it.
He's up there.
Perform. I see. Yeah. So there's a couple. I'm not gonna get into it. Spoilers either. I would say this by far is like the best portrayal of most of these villains that I've seen in these movies. So it's kind of I love Doc Ock in Spider-Man 2, the original Raimi trilogy, but there's again the script is a much better script. He seems like a much better fleshed out character in this movie. Green Goblin, I hated Green Goblin. We need to do a whole video essay series on how much I hated Willem Dafoe as Green Goblin, how much I hated Spider-Man 1. I digress. But I really, really enjoyed him in this movie. So, and also Electro, and we all know he's in this. He was a joke. He was a legitimate Batman and Robin starring Uma Thurman joke in his original portrayal. He was, I said it, Jade. But he was a much better character than this too. So it wasn't as much nostalgia, a little bit for Doc Ock, but it was fun. It was fun to revisit these characters in a better portrayal for me. It was just fun.
All right.
Yeah. Then, like for me, like there was no nostalgia factor for me. Like it didn't make me. I wasn't longing to see these characters. I was happy to see them come here and do well because they did.
Yeah.
Like we know. Like in my personal opinion, Norman Osborn was the highlight for the villains. Like he killed it. I didn't really feel anything towards the Amazing Spider-Man villains at all. Like seeing Jamie Foxx do Jamie Foxx things was cool, whatever. Lizard, he said like 4 things that entire movie, and then whatever. But yeah, like Norman Osborn killed it. He killed it.
Yeah.
I had no love for Sandman, huh?
Yeah, he was there.
He was there.
I think they wrote that script and how much each one of them spoke, depending on how much people cared about them. Like you saw, people wanted to see, and so like they got the most lines, and it kind of like you saw the dichotomy going down for people cared about all the characters. And how they were saying, at least they thought people would care about them.
Yeah, it did seem like some of the characters take more center stage than others, and also some of them are much more important to the story,
right?
Than others. So yeah, I feel on that. How much? I mean, Deb, I know you have so much. You talk about all the time how you grew up watching these movies, and you were much smaller than we were watching them. How much nostalgia was it for you seeing these characters come back?
Green Goblin and Doc Ock characters, they hit me really hard. Obviously, that was like in my timeline of being a nerd early on. Like Spider-Man was right behind when I started watching like the Justice League stuff. Like that was my second thing of nerddom I got into. It was like DC, and then Spider-Man introduction to Marvel. I had the Spider-Man Spider-Man toys. I played the fuck out of the games. We had costume, Spider-Man, all my shit when the movie was around. So it was to kind of see them, and then to kind of see them like flesh out the characters. Like I feel like Osborn, Green Goblin, they kind of flesh out the way he does things without giving stuff away. Same thing with Doc. I feel like Doc got fleshed out, but it was they were characterized a little bit well than their original introductions into just the movie. That's just me though. Yeah. I had to see it again to kind of get 100% thing.
No, I think that's objectively true. They were better fleshed out, realized characters.
They were characters, not just characters. Yeah,
not just villains or caricatures of villains. Yeah,
right.
I agree.
Yeah, because like I think it's all based off like when you saw that Spider-Man. Because like when that Tobey Maguire Spider-Man came out back in 2002, I was 10. So like I had already been familiar with Spider-Man from like my experience with comics, and then from of course the '90s cartoon. So seeing that Tobey Maguire, like I hated it. I hated that first Spider-Man movie. I was with you. Like I was not a fan of it in the slightest. I had the tape and like it was there, but I didn't enjoy watching it. So like there will be no nostalgia from that for me. Like it's just not it doesn't do it.
Mm-hmm. Well, we know
It's
you're
one
a
of those
nostalgia
things.
anyway, so there's not even.
It's not into nostalgia. It's one of those things though, Dev, which is funny about this. Even though I didn't appreciate, the Raimi. I love number two. I did like Raimi number two, but I wasn't the biggest fan of the Raimi trilogy. This movie had a funny way of, even with the Amazing Spider-Man movies, they're not the best things either. This movie had a funny way of making you appreciate those earlier films. You know what I mean? So
They set the path.
Yeah, especially in that third act with the conversations that happened there. Like they really
there are some
secured them as characters. Like I had much more appreciation for the older ones then. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I agree.
All right. Are there any other closing remarks? I feel like teetering towards accidentally something.
I don't know. I got a graphic made by the Amazing Spider-Man Spider Cam over there that I want to show you guys.
Wait.
There it goes. This is the rankings of all the Spider-Man movies. How do you guys feel about that? I honestly think this is pretty spot on.
The only thing I might change is 1 and 2, but other than that, yeah.
I mean, they're pretty much 1A, 1B.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're 1A, 1B. Yeah, right.
Because they're the same movie.
They really. But let me ask you this real quick: do y'all think they would have made the choice to have this No Way Home if they didn't do if Spider-Verse wasn't as successful as it was?
I honestly don't think.
I feel like they worked.
I don't think they would have either.
Conjunction.
Yeah, I don't think they would have either.
I'm pretty sure they're working in conjunction with each other. There's like a whole theory about like a tie-over event with Miles stuff over into the MCU. Like that's a whole. Like I saw it in like a blog. I think probably saw it somewhere where they're talking about having that, like because now all the Sony stuff is canon and they're crossing over and stuff. The plan for a while ago was to have Miles induced and then bring him over into the MCU universe now at some point in the future. Like just take his animated form, get an actor, and then just bring him over. So I thought it was like as much as some of this stuff feels like off like Marvel and Feige, whoever's in charge of the screenwriting for the direction on board, I feel like they've been like really methodical about how they planned out the next phase and about how they want to go forward with it.
Right.
In my mind.
Yeah. No, I feel it. But it's the thing is though is that doing this type of massive crossover sprawling type of things with characters from previous films, that is a big ask to your audience to accept the multiverse theory and deal with all these different things. It's like, what? Hardcore comic book fans, they can go with it because they're used to type of things, but the casual audience is like, this is a lot to process. And they went on with it for the Into the Spider-Verse animated film that was successful. So on some level, they're like, okay, we've tested the waters and we know that it works. Why not do more? So
is it a lot? Because you have movies that are being greatly playing like Inception or like Back to the Future, where these movies are time traveling all over the place, and it's like within the thing, and people knows when it came out. I don't too far stretch from those type of movies where there's another.
I disagree. Like time travel is one thing. That's a level that's already hard enough to swallow for some people. When you're going to the multiverse, where it's not only time travel, it's a different version of me, and you lived a different life than I did. Like that's a huge thing to try to swallow. At least in my opinion.
I think it's a bigger ask.
I think with Into the Spider-Verse, it weighed heavy on the likeness of Miles Morales. So I think we don't, as fans, give him enough credit for. I think like the I think he's like the gateway character to more comic book motion pictures that do multiverse things. So just like, hey, we got this Spider-Man, we got this Black Spider-Man, and we're gonna debut him after Peter Parker dies in the Ultimates, and we're gonna debut him whether you like him or not, and he was a hit. So I mean,
yeah,
and
they Black Panther the fuck I know.
Then they brought him to the main Marvel 616 universe after Infinity War. No, I think it was Infinity War. Yeah, in the comic books. So that might be the wrong event, but he's now a mainstay in the 616 universe. So it's just like they permanently etched him in there, and then now we're going to do a motion picture based around him, and then bring on other people that are like the Spider-Man Noirs and Spider-Ham and stuff like that. They've been mainstays in certain one-off books, but they needed the anchor of Miles Morales to allow them to shine also, because even Peter Parker was in there too, but it was still Miles's movie.
The thing was, I agree with Cam and I disagree with him at the same time in that, yes, Miles was the center stage. He was our avatar to the films, but essentially it was a passing of the baton. The reason the audience was able to go along with it, yes, the likability of Miles Morales definitely was a big part of that, but also you had Peter Parker, you had the classic Peter Parker saying, I approve of this as essentially my replacement in these animated films. He's aces. Y'all watch him. Y'all give him respect. Do your thing. You couldn't have introduced Miles Morales into even an animated film and expected to make money if the road hadn't been paved for so many other Spider-Man movies, so many other Spider-Man lore that people liked. I don't think it would work that way. They did something similar to this with the y'all know with Robin in the Batman universe, where after Jason Todd, originally Jason Todd got killed off, they weren't sure how to bring in a Robin or if they should do it. And the strategy they used was having Nightwing, or the first Robin, basically usher in somebody he approved of. He recommended to Batman, which is Tim Drake. And that method worked. The fans were on board with saying, well, if this is good enough for this Robin, then it's good enough for us. They did the same thing with Peter B. Parker and Miles Morales.
In that same token, though, to kind of disagree, using that same point of Jason Todd, Batman approved him when he first came in. People hated him, which is why they killed him off. Yes. Like, they literally were like, or should we keep him or should we get him to go? They've done it in the Batman Nightfall thing we talked about, where they introduced Azrael. I can't remember the main character's name on the top of my head, but he was supposed to be the Batman replacement. They set him up to be the replacement. People hated him, so they brought Batman back. It's a 50-50 shot. You can get the approval from the main character or the likable character, but if fans don't gravitate towards that character, they're going to want them to fuck out
there. With that, I have to disagree with Ethan. So it was Secret War. I'm sorry. Secret War was Miles came in. But with Batman, I'll just bring up Batman because it makes most sense. Now, in Batman, there's many instances where Batman is either gone and somebody takes his place for a short while, but is always an asking for Bruce to come back. Just like Dick Grayson was Batman for a while. While it was a phenomenal comic book with him and Damian being Batman and Robin. Bruce
he's a better Batman. Yeah, he's a better
Batman. Commissioner Gordon was Batman. It was pretty good, but Bruce still came back. So it was just like, no matter what happens, there is a need for Bruce Wayne. But with this, there's less of a need for Peter Parker, because you can have Miles Morales. Miles Morales is in the video games now. He has his own video games, which is an extension of the Spider-Man video game universe. Miles can stand on his own 2 feet, and nobody will be like, I still want Peter Parker.
No, I agree with that.
Or John Kent can fly off as Superman and just like, I still want Clark Kent, and there's no replacements. And there's a whole Green Lantern corpse, but they still want Hal Jordan.
That's Zale. That's Zale.
Oh, of course, it's Zale. But one thing I'll say real quick, because then we got to move on. I know actually has other things, but one thing I will say is that I think the better example, as opposed to people replacing Batman in comic books, there was no baton toss really. It was with Azrael, it was kind of that way because he got his back broke. It wasn't so much I'm voluntarily doing this. The better example of this is actually Batman and Terry McGinnis, that y'all know from Batman Beyond. in that 2-part episode of the animated series where Batman says, he shakes his hand, says, "Welcome to my world." It's pretty much like, I am allowing you to now officially wear my outfit and be Batman, and it worked for that series. That whole little pilot, 2-episode pilot, it worked. I was a huge hardcore fan of the Bruce Timmverse, and I love seeing Kevin Conroy as Batman. But after watching those 2 episodes, after watching Batman himself pass the baton on to a younger version, I was like, okay, I'm on board. And they did the same thing with Peter B. Parker, voiced by Jake Johnson, his name, where he's pretty much like, they actually had a handshake a couple of times when Miles Morales is holding him over the collider. He's like, "You gotta go home, man." It's like, and then he lets him go. It's pretty much like, yeah, you can handle it. I'm allowing you to now be in this world. You can now be the Spider-Man. That's the way I see it more accurately. Now, again, we're speaking all kinds of metaphors and derailments of trains, and I don't know where we are anymore. But that's how I see it. So.
All right. Well, that was a great discussion on the movie. We forget this closer.
There's still one big thing we still got to talk about. One more. Out of 10, what y'all rating it?
Yeah.
Wait. We gonna use the ratings for this, not the review.
I mean, we could do a full-on review and discuss why we got the ratings there, but we should score it.
Yeah. Let me play folks who want to see both of these. So yeah.
Yo,
Denzel.
No, got to stick a Zell Nobel in the bed.
What's good?
It was my first time.
Last on the path.
In 3 years since he came in here. 3 full years.
Yeah, man. Look, I just got off of work. I'm in line.
What you got, man?
What you Spider-Man, bro? Have you got a chance to see it yet?
Yeah, I saw it, bro. I can't talk to nobody about this.
You came at the perfect time, bro.
Perfect time. No spoilers. It's not spoilers.
Hey, Zell.
No spoilers.
Yeah, spoiler-free one.
No spoilers here. But out of 10, bro.
It's been like 2 days, Zell.
All right, hold on. So, how many trailers do I have to like? Do I have to act like there was no trailers, or can I act like there was 2 trailers?
No, if you knew about these characters before the movie came out, then you're good.
All right, look. I saw that Jamie Foxx was in it. You know what I mean? He was in it as Electro, and he did a really good job. He was like one of my favorite characters in that job. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, like I was real looking forward to it. The action was real good. William Dafoe did a good job.
He killed it.
What else can I say? The doctor. Oh.
No, yeah, you said Doctor.
Doctor Strange in it was real good. Him and Spider-Man together.
He made sense the way he was. It made sense.
Right. I'm liking him more and more.
What was everything we saw in the second trailer? Like, what is everything that we saw?
Pretty much all the villains from the previous Spider.
All the villains.
Or the earlier, yeah.
Yeah, man. They all like it felt like a proper like Spider-Man movie. It didn't feel like anything was forced. They just did a really good job overall, man. It's not a lot else I can say.
Out of 10, bro, what you giving it?
Before your rating, did you have any? Did it hit you in any feels? Did you
my girl
definitely cried now.
Like, I think the proper question would be, how many times did you cry?
Like, right. Okay.
I didn't cry at all, but my girl, she cried once. But I could see people like really getting emotional from it. Like, it had like everything. It had the comedy, it had the action, it had like the feels, it had drama. Yeah. That's what you call it. Drama.
And there were good feels too. There were times people actually in my theater. There were multiple times people openly applauded in the crowd. So.
Oh yeah, we didn't get any. We didn't get any applause. We were at 1 a.m. We went.
Oh my God.
Jesus.
So yeah, there was no really applause. It was nice. I watched it. I was probably the loudest one in the theater.
Definitely.
It was.
Cheers to Spider-Man.
Good, John. Yeah, I'm cheersing the Spider-Man right now. Hope all y'all are too. Yeah.
Cheers to Mallory too back there.
We hear Mallory. We hear Mallory there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay.
So,
But my bad, brother. So go ahead and give.
now,
Yeah, but go ahead and give your rating. But my bad, let me cut you off.
I'm trying not to give it a 10 out of 10 because, like, you know,
That's what Mike is giving it. He's saying 10 out of 10.
Is it drawing to give a perfect score? Like,
no, there's no wrong way.
Look, I'm going to go watch it
A
again.
little bit.
So right now it's a 9.
I'm gonna go watch it again, and I'm gonna see how I really feel about it. Because it feels like everybody's not watching it fast enough.
Yeah, because you can't. That's why we couldn't do the spoilers. But yeah, bro.
No, yeah. We'll get you back on for the spoilers.
What'd you say?
We'll get you back on for the spoilers to after you've seen it one more time to hear your take and stuff.
What's your preliminary rating then?
My rating right now. That joint was so
Then just give
dope.
If you want
It was though.
I'm gonna give it a 9.8.
9.8.
9.8. Okay. All right. Okay.
You'll see it again to make sure.
I'm gonna see it again though. It's probably something in there I didn't like.
Even if you
But
don't.
it's the first time going through. You know what I'm saying? It's because like my score on Endgame the first time was way higher than my final score on Endgame. So I get you.
Sure.
I get you.
That's fair.
Yeah, man. It could just be a lot of hype for me. Like I'm probably personally just was very looking forward to it and just didn't get let down. So
yeah.
But that's saying a lot that I didn't get let down. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What about you, Otis? What's your ranking at?
Out of 10, I give it 8.5, 8.5.
Yo,
okay,
that's a proper 9 in real life. Like,
yeah. Oh, this 8.5 is at least.
Why does everybody say that? That like my score is like 3 points down from what it actually is.
You know who you are. You met yourself.
You know why. You know what's up. What about you? What about you?
I gave it a hard 9, solid 9.
Yeah, solid 9. Okay.
Yeah, I can't give it the 10. There's a couple things that didn't make sense in there for me, but it was a solid 9.
Okay.
All right,
every inch
sound crazy. I gotta be safe and put a 9, because I gotta watch it again because it could just be hype. Like I could have just was like looking so forward to it and like didn't let me down at all. I didn't really pay attention that much to the soundtrack. Maybe I don't like the soundtrack. You know.
Oh, Michael Giacchino. Yeah. There's a.
What about you, Ethan?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not worried about this much. So, like I mentioned, a couple of the actual like logic holes, and part of it is because I was my brother, who was basically like a brown version of Otis, was just like saying so many things as we were discussing stuff, and I was like, yeah, you're right, some of these things. So I'm gonna have to go 8.5. But my 8.5 is a much more logistical, real 8.5. However, the fun factor, I definitely enjoyed this movie, and I definitely liked it the most in the John Watts trilogy. I definitely look forward to seeing it another time. But overall, I have to be more practical and say 8.5. But it's a strong, swole, jacked up, yoked 8.5.
It's feeling like a 9, like an overall 9 right now.
Spin it to a 9.
It's close. It's close.
All right.
All right, Dan. You.
Man, fuck all this shit talking. I'm giving this shit a 10. I'm giving this shit a 10, bro.
Let's go.
Bro. Like, it
He's pressured into giving it a 10.
Not even. Fair. It gave me everything as a fan of the character. It gave me everything I wanted. As a fan of all the previous movies, it gave me everything I wanted.
Real
and there was comedy in it. I'd see it again. Like that's my biggest thing. Will I feel like I'll be able to sit through this movie again? It's a 2-hour-long movie. And I feel like I can watch it again.
2.5 hours.
That did not feel like 2.5 hours. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, bro.
It didn't until I left. I'm like, damn. So I'm like, bro, I'm not about to tweak and try to give it a 7 point. I'm like, just give this shit a 10. If I get long, I can watch it again. It gave me everything I wanted and expected. I'm just gonna give it a 10, bro. I can't. Like, there's the plot holes, but it's an MCU movie. Every season is gonna have plot holes. Most movies in general are gonna have plot holes. I can't think of a movie that doesn't have.
Yeah, and plot holes in it.
Yeah, the movies that don't have the plot holes usually get the 10, so that's fine.
Oh,
yeah.
I can't. Right. We can't talk about why it's a plot hole, right?
You usually talk about.
No, not yet.
No.
I didn't notice the plot hole.
Not as of yet.
So
no.
Something to look forward
also, if as Zell was saying, if you don't notice the plot holes, that means you're enjoying the movie so much you don't even notice that. That's a good thing too. Right. And for me, it's some of it's not even the plot holes as much as some logic leaps. Like, wait a minute. So that stuff. Another thing too is that it's John Watts' style, writer director. He likes to have some of his scenes, they linger a bit long with certain things, or the jokes they really try to get a little too jokey. It's like, okay, you could have cut some of this fat off.
Yeah.
So
that's
kind of like
subjective,
with the slow motion.
Which one would you say?
Like yeah, was Zack Snyder uses too much slow motion.
Yeah, but I didn't notice the pacing being crazy.
The pacing wasn't crazy. It wasn't crazy.
Yeah, it was a start, but then it hit like a certain point and it sped off to the end, which makes sense because there's just so much to tackle in this movie. I was just like,
right.
You got to get it all in. But
that's all the good job. I mean, okay.
But before we end off, there's a little funny thing I wanted to bring up. This is a post we put up on a little earlier today. I think I made it earlier today. A little fun thing for everybody in here. I'm glad we got on there for this. This post is going into a discussion of who do you think is the biggest asshole in game when it comes to game. I've got 3 candidates here, but if you have anybody else on the top of your head, you can bring them on out. And but for me personally, I'm gonna go with Quan Chi. That's what I'm feeling. Then he's just a major asshole, and he killed an entire clan. And else got that nigga killed, manipulated the nigga, he got killed. But I guess we'll go order. We'll start with Cam. Where are you thinking? Who's the biggest ass in gaming you can think
of? I know Quan Chi is a pretty good. I mean, Quan Chi, Zeus. I don't know. I have to think. You might have to come back to me. Let me think.
Right, it's like I'm so focused on Spider-Man, I wasn't even thinking about.
What's going on, fellas?
Is that Mike?
What's up, Mike?
Yeah, man. I had to jump on here real quick, man.
Go ahead. I don't even break into this. This is the most crowded podcast. You can drop the thing, Charlie, so we can see Mike's face.
Who's the biggest? Who's the what?
Ginger.
I just wanted to come in and say what's up to everybody. I got the
biggest asshole.
You know, trying to see my guys. The biggest asshole. Go ahead, one more time for me, Otis. One more time. Let me see.
Can you put the asshole thing up?
So I mean, throw it up one more time.
I want to see that. Yeah, I want to see the asshole thing one more time.
Yeah.
Who's the biggest asshole? In gaming history, that is an amazing question.
But there's more choices. That's just 3. You don't have to go with those choices. Whatever you have.
If anybody else in mind.
I already know my answer.
That's Dante's brother, right? Is that Dante's brother?
No, that's from
that's Alex Mercer, right? Prototype series.
Who? What's his name?
Is the game's called Prototype? His name is Alex Mercer.
I never played that game, so
it was in an era where all those games were similar. They were like that and what was the electricity one?
Infamous.
Yeah.
Okay.
Infamous, yeah, like Infamous and that, yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
I just jumped on here real quick. I was like, just say what's up to him. I know it's y'all end of the year. I came in, started with y'all guys, so I might as well just come in and say what's up to y'all at the same time. My guy Amazing Spider Cam over here making things happen. You know this was his shit, so you gotta have him on the show. So
of course,
I'm tripping if y'all don't.
Right.
You know way more about Spider-Man than most people do. So me, I'm not the greatest Spider-Man fan, but I heard too many great things about this other movie. I found out things that I didn't need to know right now. And I'm like, shit, that happened? Like, oh, fuck, I can't wait to see it now. Like,
wait, so you haven't seen it yet?
Nothing. No. That's why I didn't come on. That's why I didn't come on.
I knew it. I knew he.
Look, me and the lady, we gotta go see it together. You know that I can't see this movie by myself.
Why would you? Why on earth would you?
She's like,
right.
If she found out I've seen this damn movie by myself, man, all types of issues. So
yeah. No, I'm glad you're going to see it though. But you enjoy yourself. We'll have you back on the spoiler cast.
Yo, Mike. Yo, Mike. Who did you watch the old Spider-Man movies? Like all of them?
I know already. That's the bad part about it.
No,
I know that part. I do. I did. Yup.
I was just wondering who was your favorite Spider-Man out of those Spider-Mans. Like, what was your favorite? Your Spider-Man era.
I would say the originals, the back then ones, because it was the first to start it. I gotta be real with it. That when he started that off, we didn't know. We only can judge it now because of where we're at now, but we couldn't judge it then. You know what I mean? Like when it was happening then, we never thought to think how we thinking now. You know what I mean? We knew it was bad, but it wasn't, but it still stuck with us. You know what I mean? Like as opposed to the newer ones now, we're getting all these new type movies, the way that graphics is done, the way fight scenes is done. Shout outs to the Matrix for making sure that fight scenes is the shit in movies. Like we really like are in a different era of everything, you know, like kung fu movies and stuff like that, mixing it in with, you know, superhero movies and stuff like that. It changed the game, you know. So now they just keep upping it, and it's easier for us to love what we love now. But I feel like that classic Peter Parker, you know, it is what it is. I'm gonna have to roll with damn, I forgot his name.
Tobey Maguire.
Tobey Maguire. I don't know why I'm thinking Tom Holland. I don't really care too much for people's actual names in movies. I don't know why. I just go.
Good, bro.
Charlie, to answer your question, Charlie, real quick. The biggest asshole in gaming is the dog from Duck Hunt.
He is. I was actually thinking about that laugh. He's up there. He's my number 2. My number 1 is actually Dante from Devil May Cry, but not the original games. That DMC one they made that was nonsense. Where he was that's the biggest asshole in the game.
Oh, the dirty one, yeah.
The dirty one where they has several STDs and
the dirty.
yeah.
This thing is the dirty one. Oh my god, it's funny.
I'm gonna go with. I know this is not on the list, but I'm going to pick Shinnok. Like there's no way in hell.
Shinnok, yeah, Shinnok.
He's the reason why Mortal Kombat is at 11 at this point now. Like he's a real asshole. He did things in the past that just while we're at Mortal Kombat 11, heading to 12 now. Niggas is dead. Excuse me, but you know, y'all know. So yeah, I'm gonna go with him. And if I had to pick, can I pick one for myself? If that's cool.
Who was the last? Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I got 2. I got Princess Peach for some or Toadstool, whatever one it is, because she can't get captured on purpose.
I was gonna say, okay, all right.
Yeah, I got her.
She just wants to give up the yams. That's what it is.
And then I got,
she wants to give up the yams.
Yeah, and then I got Kefla from Final Fantasy.
Oh, but he's so entertaining though. He's so entertaining
because he literally can kill him at any time. He could end the game before the game starts. That's just how strong he was. You have to go to his world because he wanted to. He was like, I don't even want to kill you in your own world. I want to kill you here. Like, that's what type of asshole. That's the most asshole character I've ever seen in a video game.
Yeah, he probably is. That's the good call. Good call.
Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna roll with those. I'm done, guys.
But you though,
asshole. And, I guess I'll go with Heihachi.
Oh,
that's the big.
Damn.
Oh, yeah.
He kills his brands. He tries to kill his grandson.
No. Heihachi is actually the hero of Tekken, but they won't say that. He is actually the hero of.
What?
He's a pretty uncool guy.
Look at the history of Tekken.
He kills his sons.
He had to because he actually doing the human thing because he's like, yo, they're demons. There's something wrong with them. It's actually a problem with them.
It's inhumane to throw.
We're tiptoeing near the Griffin did nothing wrong, right next to Cam.
He's a bad guy.
He's not. I'm telling you, read this lore of Tekken.
We'll make that another video.
That's a loose cannons debate right there. Loose cannons.
That's a loose cannons debate. If we get Zell and Mike up on here, we actually should get Zell and Mike up on here. we got Charlie, man. I gotta dip out. I gotta dip out. Y'all can stay on. I gotta dip out the debate here.
All right. Well, yeah, I was just coming to talk to Spider-Man about y'all, but y'all not doing spoilers. I don't want to give the people spoilers.
I guess next week to do that.
We are. Yeah, we'll get you back on, Zell, for the spoiler.
Yeah, we'll do a spoiler video.
We'll get you back on.
We also got to get you on for the Matrix review.
Stop that.
Yeah. Also, Zell, we're getting you on for the Matrix reviews plural. So.
Oh yeah, are y'all looking forward to the Matrix?
No.
Yes, for several reasons.
We are.
No.
Yes.
We'll see.
Listen, I know you guys got to finish up your show, and I got to let y'all finish our show because I'm going to start driving so I get home. But I got to piss Ethan off real quick because I had watched something that was very old, and I felt the disrespect kicking in strong, and it was kicking in too damn strong. Because, you know, if I come on here with that, I'm bringing them facts.
Hit me in the face.
And I'm literally going to scroll out of here as fast as I can so I won't see your reaction. But Vegeta has a way better plot than the other guy.
Come here, beard face. Oh, of course he left. Of course he left. See that? He shook. He knew he was wrong.
He got better character development than Zuko.
He does.
I literally now, the way it is, I think every day someone makes a comment either on the Bay channel, the Now podcast channel, or a video, someone saying, blowing smoke in my face about Vegeta being better than Zuko. Every day. I love it. I love it. I want more. Because we're going to do a rematch. Me and Zill are doing a big old rematch about it. And I want that smoke. I want it. I love my Zuko. I love my Vegeta. I don't care.
Fair. Let me just say, I just want to say appreciate y'all for letting me on. Hopefully I could be on next week for the spoiler one, and then everybody can on the internet can stop crying about spoilers and all that other stuff. So I love to talk about it. Just come drop a like and a follow. I know the banner is there somewhere for it.
I got you.
Yo, when is it appropriate to start talking about the movie?
There you go.
Online?
It should be today, but it's not. We got to be PC.
I give it a week. I give it a week normally.
I think a week. Yeah, I think a week is.
But what if I watch it? What if I find the time to go see it twice?
I mean, you can't. If you want to risk it, if you want to risk it, you can go
risk it all.
What?
All right.
Facebook, the Blur Cartel, Instagram, Blur_Cartel, IG, TikTok, Blur Cartel. All that. Beijing Tuesday, 7 p.m. Blur Crew, like, share, subscribe, enable notifications, leave a comment, all that good stuff. Yes, I'll see y'all next week with a spoiler-rific review, so we can talk about all that good shit.
Thanks for coming on, Ken.
I appreciate y'all.
Yes, sir. All right, guys. Before we dip out, thanks for tuning in. We got some more stuff coming out really January. We're bringing back loose cannons. We got one of the inaugural originators of loose cannons, Zell here. We're gonna get Zell on for some more stuff and see if he can hop on for some stuff with that. Yeah, that's coming back. That's gonna be
prodigal son
to bring back. So, right. Tune in for that. We got the new Danny's Dungeon or so. She's gonna be breaking down the special effects in Krampus. That's dropping Monday. Is the 20th, I believe.
The Grinch. And the Grinch is Monday.
Grinch. Oh yeah, I said Krampus. Yeah, Krampus is already out. The Grinch is the next one up. My bad. Thank you guys for tuning in for that one. And then we got the comic, the Son of Shining comics, pretty much almost done. We got that coming out pretty soon, and we'll get that out to everybody. And we got a bunch of stuff on the line, but the more recent stuff, just the two we talked about,
and also
within the next week.
Also, don't forget to check out Charlie's own video essay on the Green Lantern and how much it meant to him as a Blurred. And thank you to all of y'all again for pushing our review of Arcane over 4,000 views with all kinds of likes and comments. We really appreciate that. They do. And
getting the channel to 100 subs. Thank you guys for the constant support. We appreciate y'all and our growth. And we got more stuff coming for you. The more you guys support, the more dope shit we can put out, man.
Absolutely. Thanks. And also shout out to Craig.
Oh yeah, what OG supporter, man. This has been another episode of the and we will see you guys next week, Sunday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern.
Andrew Garfield is still the worst Spider-Man.
No, he's the best.
He's the worst.